Welcome back. Time now for our transfer update. Crystal Palace want to line up a replacement before considering selling Abira Eze to Tottenham. Among their targets are Club Brugge's Christos Solis and Leicester's Bilal El-Khanous. Mark Gay has a big decision to make about his future as Liverpool continue talks with Palace about signing the centre-back. Pep Guardiola said Ederson missed their opening win over Wolves because of illness amid speculation over his Man City future. Bayern Munich have failed with an attempt to sign Chelsea forward Christopher Nkunku on loan. Chelsea and Nkunku prefer a permanent move, and he is valued at £43 million this summer. Keith Andrews confirmed there has been no movement on Johan Wissa's future after he missed the defeat to Nottingham Forest. Newcastle United are also interested in Paris Saint-Germain striker Gonzalo Ramos amid the uncertainty of Alexander Isak's future. Arsenal, they're focused on sales, with Fenerbahce interested in left-back Alexander Zinchenko. Manchester United are unlikely to pursue a move for Brighton midfielder Carlos Baleba this summer, and Rasmus Højlund is yet to be convinced by AC Milan's proposal to sign him on loan from United. Let's get to Chelsea, because it was a disappointing start to their Premier League campaign, a 0-0 draw with Crystal Palace. They want to sign Alejandro Garnacho and Xavi Simons, but only if at least two first-team forwards leave before the transfer window closes. In terms of outgoings, Mark, what is the latest with Christopher Nkunku?
So this was a big deal over the course of the weekend. Bayern Munich have failed in an attempt to try and sign Christopher Nkunku. The deal that Munich were proposing was on loan, and that's not something that Chelsea are really interested in. Chelsea want a permanent deal and value the player around €50 million, which is around £43 million. He currently has 4 years left on his contract. He's 27 years old, so slightly different to the type of profile of player that Chelsea have signed over the course of this summer. Of course, you'll know, Kevin, having covered the Bundesliga, he was the 2022 Bundesliga Player of the Season. Outstanding. It was a huge part of what Chelsea did last season. France International, World Cup next summer, that may be on the players' thinking, but it's very clear that whilst there is interest from Bayern Munich, they need to change the type of offer from a loan to a permanent, otherwise this deal looks unlikely at this stage. So yeah, they tried over the weekend, didn't happen.
You get the sense that this may happen later on in the transfer window, a bit of compromise from all parties. Where would Nkunku fit in at Bayern Munich? Because they've got so many brilliant attacking players. We've not seen the best of Nkunku, or not even seen on the pitch the last 2 years, really.
They've got fewer than they had, Bayern, because Thomas Muller's left, Jamal Musiala's injured, Kingsley Coman's left, Leroy Sané has left. Harry Kane, after the Super Cup win at the weekend, said this is one of the smallest squads I've ever been a part of. Now, I've got some young players they want to bring through, guys like Lennart Karl, Tom Bischoff as well, who've brought in from Hoffenheim, but they definitely need somebody like Nkunku. The reason for that, he can cover the 10, he can cover the wider positions, he has played in that number 9 role as well. So he's somebody that really could be part of that fluid front four. They're going to need a much bigger squad, I think, in terms of top-level options. The Bundesliga, I think they'll win. That's not the problem. The problem is, how do they get closer to winning the Champions League?
You saw Xavi Simons, or Xavi as he likes to be known, in action in the flesh in the German Cup at the weekend. What would he offer that is different from what Chelsea have in their squad right now? Because maybe unlike Bayern Munich, they do have a number of different attacking options.
Yeah, he's an interesting one because he's really creative. He do things like that, but actually really positive, really looked engaged, part of the team, scored a goal, kept on going even though he had a bit of physical treatment as the game wore on, and certainly didn't seem to be saying farewell to the fans at the end. What was interesting is that Marcel Schäfer, the sporting director of Leipzig, said afterwards, you know that we let players go if it works in a sporting sense and an economic sense. At the moment, that is not the case. And if it continues to not be the case, he's still going to be a Leipzig player.
OK, a busy few days for Chelsea in terms of incomings and outgoings. We'll keep you right across that. But coming up next, Pep Guardiola wants to trim down his squad. So too does Mikel Arteta. We look at who could be out the door at City and Arsenal. Plus, Mark has an update on Ben Doak's future.
Reports suggest that the Blues are on the verge of securing two of Europe's brightest young stars, Alejandro Garnacho and Xavi Simons, in a move that is set to shake up the Premier League. Maresca, who has been determined to build a new era of dominance at Stamford Bridge, sees both Garnacho and Simons as key figures to inject energy, creativity, and flair into his attacking setup. The manager's vision for the future is clear, and these additions highlight Chelsea's intent to challenge for silverware both domestically and in Europe. With Fabrizio Romano and multiple outlets closely following the developments, the excitement among Chelsea fans continues to rise. The official announcement is expected soon, and if completed, this double signing could mark one of the most significant transfer statements of the summer window.